Major Brian Zickafoose. Please welcome the Commander of U.S. Southern Command, Admiral Craig Fowler. Please welcome the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I guess I might begin. It's an honor to be with you, and really brave men and women. The job you do is incredible, and the progress that you've made in the last short period of time has been unbelievable. On April 1st of this year, I announced the launch of a powerful U.S. military and law enforcement operation to combat the flow of illegal drugs across the Western Hemisphere. Today, I'm pleased to be with Admiral Craig Fowler and his team, done an incredible job, at the U.S. Southern Command headquarters to provide an update on this incredible, successful effort. We're joined by Secretary of Defense Mark Esper. Thank you, Mark. Acting Secretary of Homeland Security Chad Wolf. Chad, thank you, thank you. Commandant of U.S. Coast Guard, Admiral Carl Schultz. Admiral. Associate Deputy Attorney General Amanda Liscombe. Thank you, Amanda. Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, who is a friend of mine for a long time. Thank you very much, Mario. Great job you're doing down here. And many, many others, leaders and military geniuses and people that do a fantastic job. In just 12 weeks, Southcom's surge operation conducted with key regional partners has resulted in more than 1,000 arrests and the interdiction of 120 metric tons, I can only tell you that's a lot, of narcotics worth billions and billions of dollars. We're determined to keep dangerous drugs out of the country and away from our children. We're securing our seas. We're securing our borders. This is a new operation, not been done before, and this operation has been incredibly successful. As you know, in the United States, at least before the COVID came to us, the flu, the virus, the China virus, whatever you'd like to call it, it's got many different names. But before it hit, we were doing really well, and we're still doing very well, but now we're getting back on track. Last year, 70,000 precious American lives were taken because of the poison the cartels bring into our country. Under my administration, drug overdose deaths fell for the first time in nearly 30 years, and they fell fairly substantially. Unfortunately, the shutdowns caused by the China virus have led to a recent rise in overdose deaths, still below the level that they were at, but nevertheless, it went up a little bit. This is one of the reasons that we're working to safely and responsibly reopen our country, reopen our schools, get our country going again 100%. We're setting records on jobs. We're setting records on many different things. We're going to have a great third quarter. Third quarter is going to be tremendous numbers. Fourth quarter, likewise. And next year, economically, will be one of the best years we've ever had. But you'll see the numbers starting to come out really, really high in the third quarter. And you've already seen the record-breaking job numbers. NASDAQ just hit recently about 12 record highs, 12 days record highs. And the other markets are right behind it. They'll be hitting records hopefully very shortly also. That means people have a lot of confidence in what we're doing. With the help of the heroes here at Southcom, Coast Guard, CBP, DEA, and law enforcement will work relentlessly to seize illegal drugs, arrest vile traffickers. The traffickers are truly vile. They're terrible, terrible people, what they do, mostly to women and children, but women. and dismantle criminal cartels who are responsible for the deaths of thousands and thousands of Americans. I'd like now to introduce Secretary Esper to say a few words. Mark, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mark.
And good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today to discuss the successes of our enhanced counter-narcotics operations in the Eastern Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. The Department of Defense began this initiative alongside our interagency partners at the President's direction on April 1st as part of our whole-of-government effort to combat the flow of illicit drugs into our country and to protect the American people. Transnational criminal organizations have destroyed far too many American lives by smuggling heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, and methamphetamines into our country, leading to drug overdoses and addiction in our communities. Moreover, the profits derived from these activities support a range of bad actors, from cartels in Mexico to the illegitimate Maduro regime, which continues to oppress the Venezuelan people. Despite the challenges posed by the coronavirus pandemic, our enhanced counter-narcotics operations have shown great success in countering those threats by disrupting the flow of illicit drugs, denying our adversaries financial resources, and strengthening the capacity of partner countries in the region. Since the end of March, we have employed in the U.S. Southern Command area of responsibility 75% more surveillance aircraft and 65% more ships than normal for drug interdiction. These additional assets include 4 Navy destroyers, 5 Coast Guard cutters, and 8 aircraft. Currently, nearly a dozen Navy and Coast Guard ships and over 15 aircraft from across the interagency are supporting our efforts, in addition to security forces deployed to the region. Further, we have successfully engaged and encouraged 22 partner nations to join us in this fight and step up their involvement in drug interdictions. As a result of these enhanced operations, Southcom and our interagency and international partners have disrupted more than 122 metric tons of cocaine, as well as over 18,000 pounds of marijuana. We denied nearly $2 billion in drug profits, increased our targeting of known smuggling, maritime events by 60%, and neutralized dozens of members of transnational criminal organizations. These efforts have been critical to saving countless American lives and making our communities healthier, safer, and stronger. I want to thank the President, President Trump, for his leadership in bringing us together in support of this critical mission. Thank you, sir. And I'm grateful for the hard work of our partners, including the U.S. Coast Guard, the Department of Homeland Security, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Department of Justice, members of the intelligence community, and support from Congress as well for all their efforts. Together, we will maintain our enhanced presence in the region, keep the pressure on transnational criminal groups, and protect America and our communities from the scourge of illicit drugs. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, Secretary Esper, Secretary Wolf, shipmate Carl Schultz, hometown congressman here, Mario Diaz-Balart, thank you all for your support on this important mission. This mission is vital to our homeland defense. It truly is. And I'm proud to say the efforts are making a difference, Mr. President, and they're saving lives. And the team here that's assembled deserves the credit, but the resources that you've ordered have made that happen. Other nations have stepped up, Mr. President. Colombia, for one, have stepped up despite COVID. U.S. leadership has been a key piece of that. Mr. President, if I would, I just wanted to show a map. I have a little version in front of you. Just orient on the hemisphere here, if we could put the map up. So Southcom's responsibility of this Western Hemisphere, really, it's our neighborhood. It's so close to home. So what impacts the neighbors really has a high impact on us at home, Mr. President. And that's why this is so important. There's so much opportunity here. It's our #2 trading partner outside of Asia. And so trade, economics, and democracy, importantly. And our partner nations are willing. They want to work with us. And we work with partners from Guatemala on south and out into the Caribbean. But that's under assault, this vicious circle of threats that you see led by the transnational criminal organizations, about a $90 billion a year enterprise. And and it feeds off corruption and now the added instability of COVID. But as I said, that partners have stepped up despite the COVID, which is a tribute to their security teams. There's also another aspect in this neighborhood of ours, and it's what we call in national defense strategy, great power competition. So China has certainly looked at this neighborhood as an opportunity for them. And when you think about the proximity of some of their investments, Jamaica and El Salvador, it's just as close to Washington as is to Miami is if you look at comparative distances. Slide, please. But what our citizens want, I know certainly my dad in Western PA who's watching wants, is they want to know if we're making a difference. And the numbers, as we've stated, really have. At 15% more disruptions, that's detainees, that's drugs off the street. Yeah. That's at 122 metric tons, Mr. President. And 60% more targeting is a big deal for us because that means we can put more assets on more targets. And the enemy's seen that. We've gotten information from our intelligence agencies that says the enemy's watched that, and they're waiting, and they're stockpiling, and they're trying to change their tactics. Those additional Navy ships, the AWACS from the Air Force, Oklahoma Guard, MC-12s, DE agents, a whole team effort really as we make a difference here. But that 70% partner participation is key, Mr. President. And I think of it this way, on the field to compete when you go to golf or baseball, you want the best players with you. And we certainly have those winners with us here today. Just wanted to introduce you to two, Mr. President. Brigadier General Juan Carlos Correa, if you'd stand up, General. President Duque has sent us his best and paying for it. So he comes here fully paid by Colombia, and he works for me. And it's a recognition that Colombia is with us in the Korean War, and they're with us today and making a difference. And our Brazilian President Bolsonaro, a very new addition to our headquarters, Major General David, one of the sharpest in Brazilian armed forces, is in our J5 organization. Again, Brazilians paying for him to come here and work for me to make a difference in security. Brazil's been with us since World War II, and our relationship is growing even stronger, Mr. President. And last 2 points, Mr. President, the tactical end of this fight, and you remember being in Key West at Joint Interagency Task Force South, JISL, you rang that bell. Right. And the warfighters responsible for that fight, Rear Admiral Doug Fierce at the end, commands JISF South, and Master Chief Henry Ledette is the senior enlisted there. They're the ones that are really day in and day out at the tactical edge of this fight, sir. And I'll tell you what, Mr. President, they're ringing the enemy's bell every day, sir.
They seem to be. That's a fantastic job.
Thank you
very much. Mr. Congressman, would you like to say something? Thank you.
Mr. President, nothing prepared, but I can tell you in my time of Congress, which is now almost 18 years, this region has frankly been looked over. I just barely any attention paid to it. And sometimes when attention was paid, bad things were done. I will tell you that your administration has emphasized freedom. I want to thank you, by the way, on a personal note, a little bit of a more parochial note, for your emphasis on helping the people of Venezuela regain their freedom, helping the people of Nicaragua regain their freedom.
How many of you arrested?
I believe it's been close to a dozen thus far, and DOJ has charged almost as many as well.
And I know you have it in very good control, but it's a pretty wild group, but you have it in very good control, so
Yes,
we
sir.
appreciate it. Local law enforcement has been told not to do too much, and it's not the way it's supposed to be, but that's okay. Good job. You've really done a great job.
Thank you.
Go
Thank
ahead,
you.
please.
Well, for decades, let me just build on what the Commandant said. For decades, counter-drug operations have really been at the core of both the Coast Guard and the Department of Homeland Security's mission. Year after year, the Coast Guard has stood watch both in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific. And so with this operation,